Hi there, welcome to another installment of Triple J's Thoughts. Here I'm in front of my wonderful house, practicing social isolating, just being in my front porch. And Karen and I have been very diligent, even me going to work for Canada Post. We've been doing, clothes washing and exchanging and a whole system to make sure that we're doing our due diligence of not spreading the disease. And what it is that through that time, there's a lot of downtime and things that I'd like to see and everything. So there's a few binge watching movies, things that I'd like to recommend, and also give my 2 cents about. So here we go. I wanted to give my 2 cents about something my wife and I just watched yesterday as a recommendation for something to watch. If you haven't watched it yet, it is called Brittany Runs a Marathon. Now you see that it's on Amazon Prime, but it also came out as a movie theater. Amazon Prime, but it also came out as I think a small theatrical run as well. Now, the premise is pretty straightforward based on the actual title. Is this slightly larger than life, shall we say, character named Brittany, who's going through her own struggles of life, decides to pull up her bootstraps and gets inspired by one of her neighbors to basically run the New York Marathon, which is crazy. I keep forgetting how long it is. It's 26 miles, if I'm not mistaken, and it's quite a feat. About 2 years ago, I was a pretty avid runner myself, got up to 10 kilometers, but I was pretty proud of that because I started at 1.5 and I was already heaving. So it was very inspirational to see that kind of growth for this character. Now, the thing about this movie is it isn't about marathon. That's actually kind of the background of the story. It's all about her life and her life struggles and troubles that she's going through as she's going through. The marathon aspect of it is actually the background, but the core of her own issues that she's trying to go past is really put front forward, and she develops these great relationships with these characters, and through these characters she realizes that she's been pushing people away when she really needs help. So she's basically trying to do everything herself and not letting people into her life to make the changes that she needs to happen to make herself a better and more loving person. So that's actually the real core of the actual movie, and it's very well done. It's actually, and it's funny. There's definitely some comedic moments, and it's actually inspirational. Now, unfortunately, unless you want to venture out and have your average run, one while doing this quarantine, because I've seen some people in Toronto running very diligently, especially because gyms are now closed. But I think it inspires you that if you wanted to run in this kind of environment, maybe that's a small step. Small step during this quarantine for sure is, can I go outside? I don't know. I'm afraid. So, I mean, I have to pledge through because of my job, but I think when you just say, hey, I'm going to take a walk around the block, that's one goal. And then if then it can go to maybe 2 walks around the block and 3, and then maybe I'll start running instead of walking. Things like that. You can build yourself up. I remember reading the book called The Slight Edge. It was recommended to me a long time ago about the idea of we always wanted to achieve goals for sure, but our goals are not meant to be here it is on a plate and it is done. It is a step-by-step process and continual diligence. So the idea is you're making a stepping stone throughout all your things. You're building yourself up. And so what the great thing this movie did is it showed the idea of her getting these stepping stones alongside her development and growth to try and do this marathon. So again, it's more of a character study, character development, boosting yourself up, saying you can do it, I can achieve these goals, and the goals of not only running this marathon, but also changing oneself. Kind of remind me of a little bit in a weird way like Bridesmaids, in terms of this person going to basically rock bottom and realizing that she needs people in her life to build her back up. I really highly recommend it. It'll be more inspirational, especially during these hard times, and you'll love it. Hey there again. So here is my second recommendation. Now this one's a little bit more, I'd say, controversial. And the reason why I say it's controversial is because when I say what it is, you'll say, really? During these bleak, crazy times where we can barely go outside and talk and touch people and not doing our regular everyday things, and the world seems to be going upside down, inside out. You want to watch that movie? You want to watch that? How dare you? Now, the movie I'm going to recommend, which I'm sure a lot of people have seen because it's considered one of the best movies of the entire genre of movies, and that is Shawshank Redemption. What? A movie about a guy stuck in prison having the worst time of his life? How dare you put that now? Believe me, this is not an idea of me saying, here's a movie about a guy who's having the worst situation in his life for, it was 19 years, and being, oh, I'm sorry, put in a small box and kind of mimicking what's going on right now for a lot of us and feeling isolated and constrained from what we're doing. But again, like what Shawshank Redemption shows us is the idea of hope. And that's the beautiful, beautiful message of this movie is that through all its adversity that Andrew Dufresne is going through, and even some of his cohorts, Red and everybody else and the prisoners that you start developing these relationships with, you realize truly that there's hope for all of these characters, not dismay. And when the movie resolves itself and there's a triumph to everybody's kind of resolve, especially the main two protagonists, you start to realize that we can overcome adversity. We can find the moments like right now for our situation where everyone's quarantined and told to stay in stores and stay away from people and kind of self-isolate just like Andy is in terms of being in prison. He himself found his own ways of building hope, of connecting with people, and basically finding his way out. Yes, he went through ridiculous hardships. He went through, he was, well, probably most people know he was wrongfully accused of the crime that he was sentenced to prison for. And you again, it seems bleak. It seems bleak to watch a movie like Shawshank Redemption. That again, I'm sure a lot of people have seen it, but revisit it. See, build yourself up with hope. Build yourself up with that idea that no matter how bad life can get, you can find moments of hope that can, like the slight edge, build you up, build you to a certain point where you can escape and become a new person. Reinvent yourself. I mean, I think through this crisis, we're all reinventing ourselves, reinventing how we do things, how we plan things, and also. But I think what's also cool that I've found from a lot of people is that we're also going back to old projects that we haven't done before. Like the other day, I haven't had time to practice my piano. Guess what I've been doing these days? Practice my piano. Some projects that I put away. Karen and I, we've had a whole bunch of stuff in our basement that we were, because of our busy schedules, a lot of times, we're like, oh, I don't want to do this. For the most part, except for me going to work for Canada Post, we have time. So now, we're doing a lot of basement cleaning and organizing and getting our lives back together again and spending quality time with each other too. So again, I'm finding little hints of things to latch onto, and it's kind of exciting at the same time. Yes, what's going on in our situation right now is bleak, it is frustrating, and there's a lot of adaptation that has to occur for a lot of people. But I think when you do find these small slivers of hope and slivers of things you can do, whether it's artistically or manual labor wise in the household, or spending more time with your kids, maybe because you couldn't because you've been busy with work, or spending connecting with old friends over now Zoom or Skype, or just phoning up a random friend you haven't talked to in years. All these things can be done. These are the new things that this tragedy, unfortunately, has been able to make us do. And so I think there's a mirror with the Andy Dufresne character and what we're going through right now by saying no matter how bleak things can get, you can still find a sliver of hope. Doesn't matter how dramatic it can get. I mean, his situation as an individual person is pretty bleak and pretty bad, but he still found hope. He still found a means of, overcoming adversity. The evil warden, all these things, and came out clean on the other side, as a quote from the movie itself. And I think that's a message that we can share. So, yes, Shawshank Redemption. What? A man in being imprisoned, basically quarantined. Why would I watch that? But you can find solace. You can find an uplifting message through that movie. I just watched a small kind of weird documentary about the music of Billie Eilish, and I'm starting to kind of warm up to her a little bit more. I understand she's a singer for this generation right now, but it was more about the idea of what she's trying to do. She's trying to say that yes, it's okay to listen to dark and brooding music in a dark and brooding world, it seems, for them, but it's also kind of like the misery loves company thing. So it's okay to watch a quote unquote depressing movie, but sometimes those depressing movies can uplift you because you can see slivers of hope, just like Shawshank Redemption gives you. It is one of my personal favorite movies, in terms of top tier right there. Um, and I think I haven't watched it yet, so I'm gonna follow my own advice and maybe sometime this week pop it in, give myself some sort of rousing, a rousing hope that I think is missing right now, especially with everything going on. But there's hope in everybody, and stay strong, stay safe.